For years, Nearpod has been a go-to application for teachers looking to expand their content delivery in and out of the classroom. Today we take a fresh look at this outstanding platform and how it could consolidate and simplify your educational technology toolkit for the 21-22 school year. We will also take a look at Flocabulary by Nearpod, a unique take on 21st century educational content rooted in musical culture, littered with accessibility features and creative potential. Let's talk EdTech. All right, good afternoon, everybody. We are here today joined by the wonderful team at Nearpod to take a look at Nearpod and Flocabulary. For those that don't know me, my name is Brandon Langer. I'm the program administrator at MCIU for instructional technology. So I oversee our virtual program as well as our consortium partnerships and do a lot of work with teachers and administrators around the state around educational technology and how we can best leverage it in the classroom to improve learning. I'm really excited for our presentation today, and I'm going to go ahead and hand it off over to the Nearpod team. So welcome, Nearpod team, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
And Brandon, thank you so much. We are super excited to be here and talk with you all about the power of Nearpod and Flocabulary. Now, my name is Quinay Jackson. I'm the Nearpod brand ambassador. I'm a former middle school teacher and instructional coach. And listen, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at QJacksonSS Rocks. I'm going to throw it to my partner, Merv.
Hey, Q&A, what up? Greetings, everyone. Brandon, thanks again for having us. My name is Mervyn Jenkins, and I'm a brand ambassador on the Flocabulary side of things, former school teacher, school administrator, and former Flocabulary songwriter.
And I know you all saw that other face, and that is Leandro, and he is the amazing partner for you all from Nearpod. So we've got to let him introduce himself.
Thank you so much, Gunay. Yes, nice to meet you all. Leandro Beer, regional manager, partner for all the districts in Pennsylvania. Very excited to be here. Thank you, Brandon, for inviting us. It's always a pleasure to work with the MCIU and definitely the extended IUs across the state. And we're here definitely to share with you all the new great things that Nearpod is doing and how we support you for any scenario on instruction moving forward next year.
Awesome. Well, Brandon, Leandro, Merv, I know that the people are here and they are ready to learn about Nearpod and Flocabulary. So we are going to go ahead and get this party started. Now, listen, if you are watching, this is going to be an amazing adventure. So what I need for you to do is to put your seatbelt on, buckle up, and come along on this Nearpod and Flocabulary ride with us. Now, I'm going to be talking to you about Nearpod, and my main man, Merv, he's going to talk to you about how to get your flow on with Flocabulary. But what we want you to both know is that there is power in both of these platforms. So let me tell you about Nearpod and how it really is your dashboard for interactive learning and instruction. Now, I told you all that I'm a former teacher, and something that I know is that our time is extremely valuable. With Nearpod, you do not have to waste your time that you have spent on creating lessons and videos that you already have in your repertoire. Listen, bring all of those things on over. It's easy for you to customize your existing PowerPoints, PDFs, Google Slides presentations, even your own instructional videos or those videos that you've been using from YouTube. Bring them on over and customize them with over 20 different formative assessment tools. Not only can you bring what you have, but I want you to know, if you want to start over, if you're looking for some new stuff, check out the Nearpod lesson library. There are over 15,000 lessons in the Nearpod lesson library that you can use as they are, or again, you can easily customize them. Nearpod is going to be your dashboard for interactive instruction because it was literally built to inform instruction in the moment. Now, I know a lot has been going on over the past year, and if you are anything like me, When you heard that you were going to have to shift from brick and mortar to virtual learning, you started getting all the tools that you thought you might need to ensure that although school was no longer happening in the building, that school in fact kept happening. And even as we transitioned back into the buildings and hybrid learning, I know you've been trying to keep that momentum going. And one result of all of that momentum are all of those tabs on your computer. I talk to teachers all the time, and I know you have 7, 11, even 33 tabs open at a time because you want your kids to stay engaged. You're doing something for content. You're doing something for collaboration, another platform for formative assessment, another platform for gamification. And it can be a bit overwhelming because for each one of those platforms, you have a login, you have to figure out how it works. But listen, with Nearpod, you can consolidate. It is time for you to maximize your investment. If you're looking for digital content, you can do that in Nearpod. If you're looking for creativity, Nearpod. Simulations, Nearpod. Interactive videos, Nearpod. I mean, you get where I'm going with this, right? You don't need anything else. It is your multiple solution in one. Now, I mentioned to you that there were over 15,000 lessons in the lesson library, but I want to take a pause here because you're probably wondering, Quine, why are you showing us 2 different screens? I wasn't going to let you sit there and think you were having double vision the entire time. Let me explain something about Nearpod to you. With Nearpod, as the teacher, you can share your screen, but you don't have to. So if you're looking at my screen, on the left-hand side, what you see is what the teacher experiences when they launch a Nearpod lesson. If you're looking at the right-hand side of my screen, what you're seeing is the student experience. I know you've noticed it's been the same, right? That's why you don't have to share your screen. Nearpod gives you a way to create a simultaneous learning experience for your students, no matter where they are. Your students could be at home, your students could be in the car, they could be on their Xbox, or they could be right in front of you. But with Nearpod, they get access to the same thing that you're looking at. So again, we're creating that space for you to have an interactive learning experience. So now back to what I was saying about those 15,000 lessons in our lesson library. I want you to know that these lessons were created in partnership with people that you can trust. And I don't want you to think I'm exaggerating. So here's what I'm about to do. I'm going to take you right to my Nearpod account, okay? I'm going to click on Nearpod Library, and I want you to see, I'm not exaggerating. I'm probably even underwhelming you because at this point, there's probably 16,000. Who knows? Because we're always updating that content. So if you're looking on my screen, what you're going to notice on the left-hand side, this is my Nearpod account, and this is the Nearpod lesson library. You can search by lessons, activities, or videos. Yes, you can even search by standard. So we can scroll down, we can go down here to Pennsylvania, and we can be very specific, okay? And perhaps you're a math teacher or ELA teacher, or if you're like me, a former social studies teacher, shout out to you all. It's the most important content. We won't argue with them. It's okay. We'll keep that secret. But let's go ahead and find an ELA lesson. We choose our grade, and look, all of the lessons for 3rd grade ELA Pennsylvania show up. There's more. There's more. If I keep scrolling, you see those little bubbles that keep popping up. There is more. And this is just 3rd grade ELA. So I want you, when you finish watching this, to log into your Nearpod account and go and explore that Nearpod lesson library. But not only can you search specifically for standards, you can actually check out our featured collections. Now, the thing I love about the featured collections is these days, if you are like me, you wonder, well, what special day is today? Because every day is a holiday. Well, Nearpod is keeping you prepared for all of those holidays that we knew nothing about. For example, did you know that May 21st was Endangered Species Day? I didn't know it, but the Nearpod content team did. So all you have to do is click on that featured collection. And when you show up for school on May 21st, there are going to be lessons that are curated to help you teach about Endangered Species Day on Endangered Species Day. That is how easy it is for you to get into Nearpod and get going. Now, we've talked about the lessons. I've shown you the lesson library. These are some of our educational partners that you know and that you trust. I told you that you can launch this lesson in live participation mode, which is what we're doing, and the student is going to see what you're seeing. But guess what? That's not all. Not only do we have live participation mode where you're controlling the pace of the lesson, we also have student pace mode. This is great for differentiation or personalizing the learning. Not only can you do live participation mode, not only can you do student pace mode, we also have front of class mode for our videos. So my teachers who love that experience of being at the front of your class and giving that direct instruction, front of class mode is for you. In any scenario, it doesn't matter about the device, Nearpod works for you. Now, I want to give you some ideas about some things that you might not have thought you could do with Nearpod. We want you to use Nearpod to elevate student voice. So imagine using a collaborate board to help empower relationships in your classroom, to do social emotional learning activities and checking in and connecting with those students. Differentiating your instruction by using that student pace mode for centers or individualized learning. And did I mention that we have Immersive Reader? Immersive Reader will read to students in over 40 different languages. And you know, all the kids these days love games. They're all gamers and they are all into video games. You can gamify learning right in the Nearpod platform with our time to climb or matching pairs activity. And guess what? As they're playing the games, you, my teacher friends, are collecting that data so you can drive your instructional decision. That's not all. There's more than 20 different ways for you to use formative assessment and dynamic media to ensure that your lessons are engaging, that they're interactive, and that you're promoting student voice and choice. Check them out right here. Over 20 different ways for you to tier instruction in your classroom. Now, I know it was a lot, and I know you're probably jumping around in your seat like, I can't believe you can do all of that with Nearpod. But guess what? There is more. Because after you get finished doing all of that stuff, my friends, at the end of your lesson, you are going to get a post-session report where you can see everything that every student has done. Yep, you're going to get all of their responses. In addition to all of that data that you're collecting as you go through your lesson. And you can even view the IP addresses in the post-session report. So Nearpod is giving you everything that you need. Now, let me show you a little bit of the fancy stuff. This is all the stuff that we did in 2020. We're giving you more real-time insights. We're giving you new lessons and new partners. We have our interactive video where you can embed formative assessment checkpoints right in those videos. That was 2020. This is 2021. Now we've got a live whiteboard feature. We've got our live annotation tool. Anywhere you see this little pencil, you can click on it. You can choose a color. I like blue. It's my favorite color. And then look. In real time. You see that? You check it out on the other side. I don't want you to watch me. I want you to watch the other side because in real time, you are able to model, address misconceptions for your students using this live annotation tool. My math teachers, this one right here is for you. Our math formula editor allows you to add complex math formula to any open-ended question, quiz, or poll. I mentioned those video and activities where you can put the formative assessment checkpoints right in the video, but guess what? We now have embedded banks. You can choose those videos right in your lesson. So we're cutting that time that you have to spend in instructional planning. We're cutting it down. We want to give you some more time. We're going to help you reclaim your time. I mentioned live annotation. But did you know we have co-teacher? Now, I told y'all that my friend Merv was going to be jumping in here to tell you about Flocabulary. And you may have a co-teacher in your classroom and you want them to be able to jump into your lesson. Guess what? Co-teacher is here. Now, if you look in the bottom the bottom left-hand corner of my screen, you'll see these little icons. That's because my friends who are on here have joined my lesson. When I click on those little icons, I can scroll down and see all of their names. I'm going to click Merv's name. When I click that drop down next to his name, you see what it says? Look a little closer. It says make him a co-teacher. You can now add a co-teacher in your class. When you click that, it's going to let you know that that co-teacher can view the teacher dashboard and see those student responses in real time. That was 2020. This is 2021. But guess what? I want to give you a sneak peek of what's coming for back to school 2021. Teachers have been asking for, and it is here. Drag and drop, it's coming. Embedded drag and drop banks, you've got it. Teachers, guess what? You're going to be able to switch from live to student paced. Every time I talk to teachers, they want to know, can we switch from a live lesson to a student paced lesson? Guess what? Yep, you can check that off. Student accounts are coming. Imagine the ability to be able to track student progress. And now you can make your slides all fancy with our new slide editor. New and updated lessons. We've got a growing library. We're expanding our racial justice offering, Microsoft Teams improvements, and Google Classroom improvements. So that was your sneak peek. And I want to show you another feature of Nearpod, which is our Collaborate board. Now, my friends are here and I want them to let me know, how do you feel? What is your favorite Nearpod upgrade? What I love about Collaborate Board is that it allows you to build community in your classroom, and students can express what they're thinking or what they're feeling with both words and pictures. So my favorite is student accounts. I'm going to go ahead and type here student accounts, okay? And I can post that. And as you can see, in real time, those responses are coming up. Now, I need for my students in my class to tell me what they are feeling. Merv says, co-teacher, game over. Okay, I love it. But guess what? Not only can you use words, you can use images. So I could come here and perhaps I like the whiteboard feature. I could type in here, whiteboard. And look, right there, I can get that image and I can go ahead and post it. Is that not a game changer? I love it. And look at Brandon. Oh, he's fancy. He dropped a GIF in there. Or you may say GIF, like the peanut butter, whichever one. It's all good with us. But listen, these are the amazing upgrades to our platform and the things that you can do. Now, before I turn it over to Merv, I want to leave you with a few more ideas. How does Nearpod improve the learning process? Giving you that real-time data to drive instruction and improve learning outcomes. You can add interactive tasks at any time so you can capture those learning moments. Ready to launch rigorous, relevant, and engaging instructional resources, accessibility features like Immersive Reader, and its multiple solutions in one. Now, Merv is going to talk about Flocabulary. Then we're going to show you a small snippet of a lesson that is going to combine Nearpod and Flocabulary together. It's going to be like, boop, boop, boop. All right, Merv, let me make you a co-teacher for real this time. And I'm passing it over to you.
Sounds good, Q. Appreciate it. What is Flocabulary? So hello, everyone. We're going to definitely take some time to jump into the Flocab world. For those of you that don't know, Flocabulary uses hip-hop music and videos to engage students while being rigorous at the same time. And we'll talk about that in a few. Just so you know, there are over 600 lessons that you can search, and you can search by state standards. So choose your state. There's a menu that'll take you through all of that. We'll take a look at that as well. And then just knowing that Flocab is not just students watching videos, but actually being engaged in activities that moves them through the various level of Bloom's taxonomy, starting with remembering all the way to the very top of that pyramid, which is creating. And speaking of creating, students get an opportunity to write their own raps. If they want to do poems, perfectly fine. Spoken word, creative writing, whatever the case might be, they can do it all in the Lyric Lab activity. And we can even have them choose from a selection of beats that they can rock out to. So with that being said, keep in mind, Flocabulary is something that teachers can use face-to-face, if they want to do it in small groups, if they want to use it remotely, it works, okay? And we're talking about not only introducing new concept, but the fact that students will be introduced to Tier 2 and Tier 3 vocabulary words, there's an opportunity to differentiate instruction, and we'll definitely take a look at that because it's something that so many teachers overlook or just don't know about. And finally, the whole idea of inspiring students. I mean, folks, it's hip-hop music. We're talking about the #1 genre music in the world, according to Spotify, specifically for that age group that you're teaching. So keep that in mind as we work through this. Now, here's a picture of blooms. Like I stated, starting with remembering, that's the video. But so many people, when it comes to vocabulary, they think that's it. You show the students a video and it's over. But as you can see here, you can move students through understanding, applying, analyzing, all the way up to creating, working at the absolute highest level of blooms. All right. Can't forget about our culturally relevant support. Now, folks, keep in mind, this is uplifting the student voice. I always like to say they already have a voice. We need to put them front and center. Vocabulary does that. So students can definitely dig in with our SEL content, social and emotional learning. We have health and literacy. We have social justice, all right? All of these categories, numerous videos to choose from, and it honors culture. The raps are authentic. One thing we like to say about vocabulary, these are real MCs putting these rhymes together. Now, they are working with our curriculum team to make sure it falls into a template that has been set up to do things like be aligned with those state standards, national standards, and we got that. So yes, it is culturally responsive, it's culturally relevant when you're using it. And finally, the representation. We like the Flocab content because students see themselves in the learning process. I can promise you, after a few Flocab videos, every one of your students will be able to say, yeah, that's familiar to me. And that's what we are aiming to do. Now, let's go ahead. I am going to take you guys on a live drive to show you some Flocab love and exactly how some of these cool features that I've mentioned work. So with that, I'm going to share screen. Give me 1 second here. Q, if you would, let me know if you can see that Flocab login page.
Oh, I can see the Flocab login page, and I am so excited. Let's flow, Merv.
All right, you got it, Q. Folks, this is where you end up at when you sign into Flocabulary for the very first time, and it's our Flocab landing page. Now, the first thing I want to point out is when you are here, this Flocabulary by Nearpod icon in the top right corner, no matter where you are, click that. It brings you back to the landing page. But let's go ahead and start out with something that, again, not everyone knows about, and that is how to search standards. Right under the icon, mine is saying Massachusetts by default because I'm in the demo account. But when I click on that, it's going to open up. And here, I get to go in. First thing, choose a state. So let's just say I went Pennsylvania. Then a subject area. And you can see there's a choice between health and PE, language arts, mathematics, science, and social studies. I'm going to go ahead and jump into math right here. A lot of people don't connect the Flocab with math, but it works. All right. Now, the next selection, kindergarten through 12th grade. Let's go ahead and do 5th grade. When I click on search, I can see that it's going to populate State of Pennsylvania Core Academic Standards, Mathematics for 5th grade. Now, what you're seeing on the left, obviously, are the standards. And then on the far right, it's showing you how many Flocab videos correlate with that particular standard. I'm going to go ahead and click right here on this one. It says there are 8 Flocabulary videos. That's giving me a 3 over here. There we go. All right, 8 videos. When I click on it, I can see all 8 videos listed. Now let's say maybe decimals is what I'm shooting for. All right, I click on it, and the next place you end up is the lesson landing page. So you can see this one is on decimals. Just so you know, regardless what subject area, regardless what lesson, once you tune in and you hit a landing page, it is structured exactly the same. So no matter what you're looking for, you will be able to navigate once you've done this 2 or 3 times. Now, over to the far left, you can see I have the video, and below the video are the +5 interactive activities for students. Off to the very top, you can see it's the teacher resources section. And again, something often overlooked. If you click here, not only do you get the recommended grade levels, it'll give you the gist of the lesson, and more importantly, the recurring vocabulary words that you'll see throughout the video and the +5 activities. Now, here's a feature still in that same section. It's called handouts, all right? People go crazy because they've overlooked this. Not everyone is one-to-one device. If your school isn't one-to-one device, but you still want your kids to have that Flocab experience, click on the handouts and look what you get. You got several PDFs that are printable copies for you to let your students work hard copy handouts. All right, look at that. You got a quiz, read and respond, vocab cards, fill in the blanks, the lyrics to the song, all of this located under the handout section. So again, that is something I've seen teachers using Flocab 3-4 years and didn't know we had a handout section. So want to make sure it's on your radar. I'm going to go back to the video and just talk about some of the cool tools that are embedded in the video itself. Keep in mind, this doesn't even take us into the +5 activities, but check it out. First is discuss mode. Bottom right corner, whenever you click discuss mode on a video, and actually, let me go and pull up one of my favorites here. Let's go with Hernandez, for example, I believe is what I'm looking for. All right, there we go. All right, so when I go into discuss mode, we always recommend doing this after you've introduced the students by playing the Flocab video, whatever it is, in its entirety. Coming back and going into discuss mode, now you see at the bottom, I have 4 nodes here. Each one of these nodes represent a question. Now let's pretend we've been playing this video for about 30 seconds now. Here's what happens when it hits that node.
Working with our parents side by side, every weekend during school, every day during summer, constant moving made it hard to keep up in school. What a bummer.
It automatically stops and it presents a question or poses a question that you can then work on with your students. Now, this is something teachers asked for, and Flocabulary responded just a few years ago, actually. So in discuss mode, if you're face-to-face, maybe you got your kids' seating arrangements in small groups of 3, 4. Each group can get a discussion question, talk about it, come back and have a full group discussion. If you are working remotely, I have seen teachers during the pandemic, they actually broke their students into groups within the Zoom and assigned each group a question. So in this case, it would be 4 groups, maybe 4 students per group. And the teacher was able to bounce from room to room, monitor discussion, join in on the conversation, and then bring everybody back together again to have a full group discussion. So folks, no matter how you approach it, it works, okay? Now that's your discuss mode. Another feature that I want to point out, this is also something often overlooked, is the ability to slow down a Flocabulary video 2 times its normal speed. Now, why is that important? Well, you have kids who are struggling readers. You have kids who may be learning the language for the very first time. How cool is it for them to be able to move it at their pace? And not only that, notice every Flocab video is captured. So as the song's being rapped, the lyrics are actually coming across the screen. Let's check out this feature.
And I struggled with English till we moved to Stockton, CA, and we stayed. Now I could focus on school every day. I watched the moon landing at the age of 10 and knew I wanted to be an astronaut like the Apollo 17.
All right, there it is, folks. So you get the ability to slow it down 2 times its normal speed, and you find that by simply hovering in the right upper corner of any Flocab video. You'll see original speed, click on it, and then you'll see your options to slow down and put it in its slowest mode. Now, coming out of that and looking at one more thing, bottom left corner here, you can see there are the lyrics to the song. I like this because there is such a thing as sensory overload. Maybe a student just doesn't need the distraction of the beat, the video with characters and captions coming across the screen, and they just want to read the lyrics. Well, here it is. Bottom left corner, you get just that. Now, if you want to take it up a notch, you can also play along
When I saw it on the screen, I told my father that's
as you read. But this is a great feature for students to have. So many of them use it, so I want you to know it's available to you. And keep in mind, folks, everything you just saw was in the video, not even touching your +5 activities. All right, everyone. So we've seen everything that you can do just in the video alone. And you know that there are 5 other activities following the video that you can use with every one of our Flocab video lessons. That said, we're going to look at one particular one, and that is the Lyric Lab. Now, in all honesty, I was traveling around the country before the pandemic, and whenever I would go into a school, I would sort of look to see where was the usage. And guess what? The one we're going to focus on today, the Lyric Lab, had the least amount of usage. And I would ask teachers, why are we not using the Lyric Lab? And their response, almost 90% of the time, Merv, I don't know how to rap. And folks, it couldn't be further from the truth. You don't need to know how to rap. I always tell folks, Flocab is a platform where students get to do the lifting, all right? We're used to being the sage on the stage. With this one, you just gotta be the guide on the side. Let's dive in and take a look. And to do that, we're actually going to use the characters video. Now I'm gonna go ahead and hit start a Lyric Lab. So whenever you start a Lyric Lab, you get a blank sheet of paper, basically, okay? If you look over to the far right, those vocab words you're seeing, remember earlier I showed you under the teacher resources box, the recurring vocabulary words? Well, these are those words. Now, what the student is tasked with doing is literally writing a rap, or give them choice. It could be a poem, it could be creative writing. But as they're writing, each time they use one of the vocabulary words, it will automatically highlight itself, both in their writing and off to the right, because as a teacher, when you log in to look at their Lyric Lab, you can immediately take one glance over to the right, and if everything is highlighted, you know they've used all the words. Now in the bottom right corner, that's called the rhyme generator. So what you're gonna notice is as I start working on this rap, and I'll do a couple of lines here today live, you'll see that each time I end with a rhyme word and hit the enter button for the second line, it's going to give me ideas of what words might work as rhyme words to help finish out that couplet, I like to call them. All right, at the very bottom, it says choose a beat. And that one, for the students who are so inspired to be the next Jay-Z, Beyonce, they can literally choose a beat to play and work while they're writing to the music. I'm actually going to do that right now. So let me find a beat that I think fits the mood here. Maybe Exploring. Yeah, we'll take that one. All right. So notice now I'm on the first line. All right. All right. Gonna jump in. Here's a little something coming from, say, my perspective. Oh. All right.
Here's a little something coming from my perspective.
All right.
Oh.
There it is now. I hit the enter button and check it out. Now I got perfect and slant rhymes to choose from. Objective, effective, the list goes on and on. But we're gonna cue, here's a little something coming from my perspective. I'm gonna say,
oh, I'm going to be a rap star. All right. Here
I'm
we
a
go,
cool character with some
effective. Okay. Here we go. Woo!
All right,
Let me try. Here we go.
Come on.
Here's a little something coming from my perspective. I'm a cool character with learning objective.
All right, you, we got it. All right. So, all right.
And I am not a rapper, you all. This is not my skill set.
It's all good, Q.
Anybody can do it.
That's what we're showing them, Q. As a matter of fact, since you're saying that, here we go.
Wait a minute. Here we go from the top. Oh, here's a little something coming from my perspective. I'm a cool character with learning objectives. There's a little evidence that anyone can do it. React to the Oh, now let's talk about character. Analyze the music. Oh, okay, Merv. I'm
Yeah, that's cute. So there's something coming from my perspective, a cool character with some learning objectives. There's a little evidence that anyone can do it. React, be direct, and analyze the music. We all know you gotta describe to stay alive. No interference, but we all shall survive. I got a little trait that is hard to describe. Flip an adjective and see if it's really live, and so on and so on. But folks, that is the magic of the Lyric Lab. You just saw, obviously that wasn't rehearsed. Q and I go at it. It will be the same with your students. And that excitement is gonna be even bigger because you're using a medium that they are so familiar with. We know they use it at school, they use it when they're at home, and to bring it into the classroom and apply it to their learning is just simply magic. But that's the Lyric Lab, y'all.
And it is magic, Brandon. I know you're a former music teacher, so I know that made your heart happy because that's what we want the kids doing.
Well, and what the best part about it, honestly, like from like an active music classroom standpoint, so many kids get hung up on exactly what you said, Mervin, about I can't do this, I can't do this. And that little rhyme box takes 90% of the fear away because they just sit and they dwell about like what, and it's like, as a lyricist myself, very different genre of the area of punk rock.
Absolutely.
But the same, tenets of needing to find rhymes. Quit digging. It should just come out. And I also loved, you both just demonstrated that lyrics are so, the feel and the delivery can be completely different from the same lyric line. And you both just demonstrated that. So it's really cool because it gives kids an opportunity to craft and share and present perhaps the same content differently.
Brandon, I gotta be honest, whenever I would do a face-to-face training, and even throughout the pandemic, because I always give that spill about the Lyric Lab, it's amazing how many teachers come back and they post stuff on social media of them actually presenting. Because one of the things I always say is we ask students every day to be vulnerable. We ask them to perform on the spot in front of their peers, which is their, like that's the audience they're most afraid of, are their peers. And we ask them to do it. We don't think twice about it. And here's an opportunity for us to show them that, you know what? As an adult, I'm still stepping into new things and realms that I might not be familiar with. And I want to inspire you guys to do it as well. So many of them end up after the training taking that approach. And I've had teachers just flat out say, I made new friends. I had kids who didn't even really speak out in class. Once they saw me up doing this, being having that emotions or going through those emotions that they usually go through, it just opened up new doors. So what a fantastic tool, activity in this case, and definitely one of my favorites. So thank you for allowing us to share.
Yes, that was so much fun, Merv. And so I really love that you use that character video just to show how many different resources are available. And I want you all to know, if you're watching, that these two platforms really and truly work together. So Merv just showed you a Flocab video on character. There is a lesson directly linked to that video on character in the Nearpod lesson library. The lesson is going to come with objectives. It's going to come with an essential question, but it's also going to come with activities. So again, just like Merv mentioned, the video has that discuss mode. One of the things that you can do when you combine that discuss mode in Flocabulary with the interactive video in Nearpod is that the students actually can answer those same questions right in the Nearpod platform. So here's the same video that Merv just showed you. It's on characters.
There's a lot of characters in books, TV shows, movies. Let me introduce you to one of them.
I'm a character in a book. I drop the action, take a good look. Characters can be human, yeah, or we could be sharks. And I don't mean West Side Story. Characters all have traits, alright? Descriptive adjectives that tell you what we're like. Kayla is clever with her quick wit.
Now look, discuss mode becomes a formative assessment tool that you can use to capture student learning right in that viewing. You can include open-ended questions or multiple choice questions that are already built in, just like Merv showed you on the Flocab website. They're already built in, and you get that data right in the Nearpod platform. Not only do you get that data from the discussion questions in the video, but there are activities like this matching pairs activity that students can use to practice the concept that you're teaching. Now, I don't know of a kid who's not seen Frozen. If you meet one, let me know. But I love this matching pairs activity that follows the video on character because it allows students to scaffold. They build on what they already know using something that's familiar to them. With the matching pairs activity, they simply click on what they know. So for example, my favorite blank in Frozen is Elsa. So they would click on it and then they would click character. If the answer is correct, it'll turn green for them. If it's incorrect, it'll turn red. Matching pairs is a great formative assessment tool for you to use as you're building student learning before you get to the summative assessment piece. This is going to drive your instruction so that when you get to the end, you are confident that students actually have had an engaging and interactive learning experience. And as you can see, Leandro is on it. He's got 4 out of 4. But what's really cool as the teacher, not only do you see this data as it's coming in, you can see how many tries those students have. So it lets you know if you need to address any learning misconceptions. Not only do you have matching pairs, but VR is built right into the Nearpod platform. Virtual reality removes zip code barriers, and it allows you to use dynamic media to give a spin on learning experiences that you may not have thought of before. Now, I don't know about you, but I learned about character when I was in school. My teachers definitely did not take me to Italy, though, to teach me about character. But you, my friends, can. Let's jump into this VR. These introductions that you're going to see come right in the lesson straight from the Nearpod lesson library. So I want you to pay attention as we're in Italy. We're going to be learning about indirect characterization. I want you to see, what do you see? What do their faces look like? What do you think they're feeling? VR works great with iPads. So if you're using iPads in your classroom, you can actually enter VR mode if you have the VR viewing goggles, and it'll allow them to sort of look around. But you do not have to use VR mode. Students can simply use their mouse to move around. And so I want you to observe what you see. What do you see on the people's faces? Imagine using this relevant activity to help students learn about direct and indirect characterization. Once you take students on that VR, the next thing that we're going to actually do is a activity that involves open-ended question. Now, I told you about open-ended question earlier, but I wanted you to be able to see and experience what really happens. Not only can students type their answers here, but what really is cool about open-ended question is that students can actually record their answers. So if you click record audio, right here, the student can actually answer. I can infer that the people in the VR trip were really enjoying their food. I click that stop button, and then I can hit submit and turn in my answer. Immersive Reader is also available in open-ended question. Students can click this book and megaphone, and they will be able to choose from over 40 different languages in addition to English. Listen, it's going to read the question to them in English.
Indirect characterization. As you explored the restaurant.
But not only that, if I click this book, choose a language, drop down any language that I want, click document, it is going to translate it and it'll read to them. Listen, y'all.
Caractérisation indirecte. En explorant le
Imagine the students who can have access to the content you're teaching, no barriers. You're going to love this. Not only does Immersive Reader work, but also, again, in real time, as the teacher, you're able to track that participation. So as people answer, you will see that participation rate begin to go up, and you can even save what they have learned. Finally, once you have gone through your learning experience, we talked about gamification. Now, from young to old, everyone loves a good game. Time to Climb is our gamified learning experience that is not only going to measure accuracy, but also speed. So now it's time for us to play Time to Climb to wrap this thing all up and remind you about why you want to be using Nearpod and Flocabulary in your classroom. I hope you've been paying attention, because to get these answers, you've got to know some stuff about Nearpod and Flocabulary. There is music, but I'm going to turn it off for our purposes today. I'm going to go ahead and hit continue. As you can see over here on the student side, I can choose an avatar. Once you choose your avatar, then they will begin to appear on the screen. Okay. Once everyone joins, then you are ready to start your game. And what the students will be doing is actually to be racing up the hill. So we're going to go ahead and click start. All right, Brandon, it's between you and I. Let's see who's going to win. Immersive Reader is available in 40 plus languages. What you'll notice is not only can students use words to answer, but also images. Oh, I ran out of time. That's okay. Brandon, you're in the lead. Yes, Immersive Reader is available in over 40 different languages. What should you say to someone considering a Nearpod and Flocabulary subscription? Well, you should tell them you should definitely do it, because Nearpod and Flocabulary equals engaged instruction. Brandon, I'm doing too much talking and not enough answering, and he is beating my socks off. Okay.
I'm a little competitive. Man,
let me jump in here, Brandon. All right. Virtual reality allows students to surpass zip code barriers and become the protagonists of their own learning journey. Okay, I'm answering this one, Brandon. I see Leandro has jumped in. As you all can see, even if their students don't join from the beginning, they can still join the lesson. There's no interruption to what is happening in the classroom. All right, and our last question. What do Nearpod and Flocabulary do? Do they unleash creativity and elevate student voice, integrate with your tech landscape, or help you save time, or is it everything? You've got it. Nearpod and Flocabulary do all of those things. Shout out to you, Brandon. He is our winner. So this has been so much fun. We loved talking to you all about Nearpod and Flocabulary. Please feel free to reach out to Leandro if you want some more information. But listen, follow Nearpod on Twitter and Instagram. Follow me at QJacksonSSRocks. Follow Merv at Jinky Jinks, because we know that after you watch this, you're going into your classroom to do something with Nearpod and Flocabulary, and we want to see what you're doing. So thank you all so much. Have fun. Make the learning fun. It's going to transform what you're doing.
Woohoo!
Thank you. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you both. This was just such a great rundown, not only for the product updates and all that kind of stuff that we constantly try to push out to our network, but I think also just reminding us how much versatility there is here, day in, day out. We don't have to be doing the same thing in the classroom every day. We don't have to be using the same tool every day. You modeled the Collaborate board. I love that one, but sometimes I get a little too comfortable with it and I just keep going to it. There's so much there's so many great tools in there to continue to come back to and make use of. And I have to just call out my favorite thing of the day in this conversation was just this idea of formative checks, formative ways to assess, formative ways to gather formative data, and just not relying on waiting every 4 weeks to give a quiz or 2 weeks to give a quiz, and that's the only thing that we know about our student population. But we know day in, day out, we cannot, and not only do we know it and we're providing the opportunity, we have somewhere to go back and reference later with the data we've collected around those formative checks that can help inform what we do next. Because ultimately that's the point of the process, right?
Yep.
Absolutely. Those formative assessment checkpoints are actually sometimes more important and more informative than the summative, because you can't do anything, right? It's like I learned a long time ago that summative assessment is kind of like doing an autopsy, right? It's over and it's done. You can find out the cause, but you can't fix it. You can't bring it back to life. But when you're doing those formative assessment checkpoints, that's where you can make those decisions in the road to shift what you're doing to get a more positive learning outcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also a couple of things. One of them is that was launched in March. It's co-teaching. That's another very powerful element in there. Back to school, we're going to have the student accounts, as Kunal was mentioning. And then, fantastic, you can switch now from live teaching to student pace. So you're going to be able to transition a lesson that you have already launched as a teacher to continue to be. That's all back to school version, but really a lot of amazing new features coming as well, Brandon.
And Leandro, a question for you. We saw the lesson library and just how extensive it is. How there's often questions on how do we gain access to that? What type of tier, what type of user has access to the lesson library and the content there?
So we basically handle the partnerships with the schools and districts. At that level of licensing, you get full access to all the lessons. Now on that side as well, you have two versions, which is Premium and Premium Plus, which we launched 2020. And in Premium Plus is where you have also access to the fantastic videos that Kunal was showing you for the interactive. You can use interactive videos with the Premium version, but with Premium Plus, you also get access to that library. And then also to the bank of activities, which back to school, instead of just you choosing which activity you want, which was pre-made by our content team, per lesson, per area, now it's going to be a drag and drop, basically. So it's going to simplify further the content creation and the lesson creation. It's all about working on that.
And just to call out something you just referenced, so when we're talking about that, the video tool where we can, you'll have the access to the tool to theoretically make your own, but if you want access to the library, that comes in the Premium Plus. Is that what you were saying?
That's correct.
Cool. Awesome.
It's the same way with the activities, yeah.
And then in terms of Flocabulary, how does that licensing work? Again, we might have some users that are current Nearpod users and they're pretty well immersed in that, but they might have seen some of the features that were shared by Marvin today that they want to make, maybe take some steps forward. How does that model look?
Well, it's similar, but it's only one model of licensing for schools and districts. On the school side, we'll have a tier depending on the enrollment of the building. And then the same and similar. And of course, when you're combining the power of engagement of the two platforms, we are definitely improving as well your pricing. And that's really conversation to conversation in the sense that we need to gather kind of like enrollment information to be able to quote it. But definitely a lot of optimization ongoing on the combined platform.
Great. And something that Marvin, you said early on when you took the reins was everybody has a voice. And I love that. Again, being a former vocal teacher, I feel that way too. But I feel like the platform is providing it on multiple levels. The platforms are providing it on multiple levels. And you mentioned immersive reader even being part of that, where these accessibility features, the need to not have to think about how the content's going to be accessed because it's just there. Is another strength of some of what we saw today. And I can't thank all of you enough. Any parting words, thoughts, ideas, things we want to make sure the audience knows before we wrap up here?
Brandon, I'll just say I'm a former fine arts person myself. I started out as a visual art teacher, art history. So back to the student voice, man, there's just some magic in that. And I think a lot of it we still have to capture. It kind of scares me hearing folks talking about taking the fine arts out of schools and so forth. So I think this is another platform to really, especially from a music aspect and a music that's well known and respected by young people, to give them voice and to make that student who hasn't been speaking up feel like here's finally a platform where I know I'm good and I can actually learn in the process. I wish they had this when I was in school is all I can say, man. So it would have made...
Yeah, all I had in my school days was something called the multiplication rap. I don't know if you remember that. This was like mid-90s. And that was when you were talking about content and how math, oh my gosh, I totally forgot that existed. But you know what I'm talking about?
No, I remember that, but I laugh because Cornea will tell you, a part of the rollout with Flocabulary is I always tease teachers with Schoolhouse Rock.
Conjunction, junction.
Everybody immediately is like, yeah, I remember that. And I always tell folks, this is Flocabulary on steroids. It's Schoolhouse Rock on steroids. They just use rap music, which again, most popular genre. So no, man, hats off. Appreciate you opening up the platform. What a dynamic situation to even have someone like yourself representing the district and coming out and seeking out new and innovative ideas for helping students, man. So thank you.
Thank you once again for joining us, Leandro. I'll make sure that everybody has the links to our sites and everything for the partnerships that they can access through Pennsylvania. But I just want to remind everybody, I'll put my contact information in the video as well. But please reach out if you have questions. Happy to connect you with anybody on the presentation day. And once again, thank you, Nearpod team, for all your time.
Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
For more information, please visit nearpod.com/MCIU, and please feel free to reach out if you have any questions about these products or want more information about our consortium pricing program for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.